Hi, I'm Kathy Jones, and today we're going to go through a few basics before you get that kayak out in the water. To give you a little bit of background about myself, I've been kayaking for a good 15 years. I'm a kayak enthusiast, I'm a kayak racer, and I'm also a kayak instructor. So before I go kayaking, some of the things I like to check with first and foremost is the weather. I want to make sure it's going to be a nice day with very little wind. And the other thing is to protect yourself from the sun. So most of the time I tell people to wear like a ball cap, sunblock, or wear like a long sleeve sunblock shirt. And the other thing I tell them to do is to wear something just in case you might fall into the water that you can swim in. So you don't want to wear something like a heavy pair of jeans, you don't want to wear a sweatshirt, you want to wear lightweight clothing, something that maybe you already have for running or just to enjoy a hot day. On your feet, because your feet are going to get wet, you want to either wear a pair of old tennis shoes or a pair of sandals. Do not wear flip-flops, because then you're going to be chasing those down the water when they come off, or they're going to get stuck in the mud. So you want to wear something that's going to be durable, but also something that can get wet. These are great for kayaking. They'll stay on your feet, and they're comfortable, and they have some flexibility, and of course they're waterproof. I definitely want to take water with me, and a good source of carrying water is a water bottle that you carry on your bike. And so this can go under the cords on the deck of your kayak, so it's easy to reach. Of course, you're going to be out in the sun, you're going to want your sunglasses, but if something happens, you want to have them where they'll stay on your head. So you might want to invest in a cheap little strap to hold those sunglasses on. I also have a special ball cap that has the veil, and it protects my skin, so you don't have to put on a ton of sunblock, and it'll protect your face, your neck, and everything. And of course, never go kayaking without your PFD. PFD stands for Personal Flotation Device, and you want to make sure when you put on this PFD that it's on securely. So if someone would come up to you, once it's on, they shouldn't be able to pull on it and it pulls up on you. Because if you go in the water and you need help getting back in, if they use your life vest to pull you in, you don't want them pulling it off of you. Nor do you want it up around your face when you're trying to swim. So you want to put this on securely. Okay, another thing we want to talk about is where do you put your hands on the paddle and where do you put the paddle in the water? Okay, first of all, I have a bent shaft, which is a little bit unusual, but in order to know where to put your hands is you put the paddle on top of your head, and when you have a perfect right angle, that's your hand placement. So what I do typically is once I see where my hands are, you try to move the drip line sometimes over to where your hand is, so you know that's where your hand should be. And as you're paddling along, look at your hand placement again, because once the water gets on your paddle, it's easy for your hand to slip and you're not paddling with efficiency. The other thing is people want to know, okay, how deep do I paddle? It's going to be different than when you're canoeing. I've seen people who get in a kayak for the first time and they treat it like canoeing, and they try to put that paddle way down in the water, and they pull so hard that they end up pulling themselves over. So what you want to do, especially for the first time, is to just take light strokes and just barely get the paddle in the water until you get a little bit more hang of it. So you create this, as you can see where my hand placement is and where my hands are in relationship to my body, you kind of form a box. And so the paddle goes in about where your feet are in the kayak, and you pull up about where your hips are sitting in the kayak. And so you just keep kind of a square and you keep going like this. And it's just a light movement and just barely going into the water, where your paddle might be going in about this deep, where you can still kind of see the top of it. And then also some people, I've seen them put the paddle in backwards. So you want the curve of the paddle cupping the water. And typically, not always, but typically, the name of your paddle is going to be in the front. So it's like you're showing everybody, I have a Werner paddle, because if it's like this, you're not going to be able to read it. So you want to have that up. So that's a little bit about the basics about paddling and moving forward in your kayak.